Rugby Hub viewers, tonight we have a very exciting episode here. We've got Nick from Rugby Punt It joining us. Nick, lovely to have you here.
Beautiful.
Maybe you just want to introduce yourself to our viewers and tell them where they can also find you guys.
Yeah, Laka guys, thank you so much for having me on. It's really great to join you guys and chat a little bit ahead of the World Cup. I'm Nick from the Rugby Punt It. You guys can come and find our podcast out on Spotify or on our website. But yeah, psyched to be here with you guys. Thanks very much for having me.
Happy to be in the stadium with you, Nick. Yeah, we're excited to have you here. And today, obviously, we're covering the road to final. Rugby Pulse was kind enough to put out this public road to final prediction. So we're going to chat a little bit about your predictions, our predictions. But Goran, let's start off with the four favorites according to the bookmakers. Do you have that there for us?
Well, with the latest rugby rankings, guys, it looks like Ireland is still number one seeded going into this World Cup, with the South Africans, the Springboks, right on their heels in second place, with France, the hosts of the tournament, being in third place, and New Zealand, three-time World Cup winners, in number fourth. It's very tight at the top. You can make an argument for Scotland being right up there as well. And with the World Cup draw, we'll see some interesting picks from our side.
I mean, just a quick pause there. I mean, actually, fun enough, all of these teams are on the one side of the table, you know, Pool A and Pool B, which is quite crazy. And yeah, obviously these four teams are also the favorites according to the bookmakers. However, the bookmakers have New Zealand first, they have France second, South Africa third, and Ireland fourth. And yeah, that is what the bookies are saying right now, at least my booking site here, B-Win. So yeah, let's jump straight into it. Nick, let's quickly chat a bit about your road to final prediction. Let's go through the pools, then we'll go through our pool stages, and then we'll together decide the knockouts after we've agreed on who will be team 1 and 2 into the pool stages. So if you maybe want to shoot it off and maybe start straight away with Pool A, that would be much appreciated.
Yeah, so for Pool A, I mean, we're going to know who's going to top this pool after game one. It's France, New Zealand in the opener. Back and forth on France, back and forth on New Zealand taking it. But I think if you look at the game now, it's going to be New Zealand's 50th win in the World Cup over the time that they've played. Good stat for them to get. They don't lose two in a row often. And I see now that Jonathan Dante is injury withdrawn. He won't be available for the first fixture.
Yeah. Massive loss.
And he's an integral part of that France squad. So I know they have some depth in Wafana and Fiku, but you could think without Intermac there and without Jonathan Dante, that is quite a daunting prospect for them to face New Zealand now.
Suddenly that axis they've been building of DuPont, Intermac, Dante is just disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a massive loss for them, honestly. I think it's almost like the World Cup.
Yeah, but besides that, Gabsy, I mean, the expectations of it being their home World Cup, like we know that France and, you know, back in the day used to be hot and cold. You don't know which French side was going to pitch up, but they've won quite a few games on the trot before, obviously succumbing to was it Scotland, but there's a certain calmness to that squad and to that coaching group that you can't really write them off. But yeah, who have you gone for, Nick, in topping that pool?
So I ultimately went for the All Blacks to top that pool.
Okay.
Yeah, they're
then France
come
second.
back firing after that South African defeat. Let's be honest.
I mean, on the other hand, we went obviously with the other team, which is the home team. We went with France, backing them, considering they looked quite solid in recent games. And yeah, we'll talk about what we agree on together in a bit shortly. Let's quickly move over to the pool of death, Pool B. That's obviously where you have the likes of South Africa, Ireland, and Scotland. And don't forget about Tonga. Who did you choose there? Any reason in particular for your choice there?
So I went for the Springboks. I have to back them to win all their tests and take it all the way. And then Ireland making it through. I'd love to see Scotland, but I think they don't have the firepower to back it up. So Ireland, South Africa through. South Africa top of the pool for me.
It's quite an unfortunate one for Scotland, isn't it? Being in a pool with currently seeded #1 and #2 in the world, and they've been playing so well. I mean, this sort of World Cup cycle that they've been building up to, they've been playing exceptional rugby. They're a great team. They've got one of the most exciting fly-offs, and also one of those, or maybe two South Africans on the wings. So they're a great team to watch. So it's going to be very devastating to make this pick, but that seems pretty solid in the two teams that you've selected to go through. However, I might need to differ with you there, Nick, seeing that Springboks are looking very great, and I have to be honest, they are. We're playing against Scotland in Marseille in that first game, and Ireland will be facing Romania and Tonga in their first. I'm not sure which one is first, let's be honest. In those first two games
Romania.
before then playing those two big teams. And I think by that time, if South Africa, to my estimate, will beat Scotland and might feel a bit complacent against the likes of Ireland, and might feel like it is not that necessary to beat Ireland, especially since Rassie Erasmus and Jogni Noba came out and said how important that Scotland game is for South Africa. So with us putting all our chips for Scotland game and Ireland putting all their chips for the Springbok game, I see South Africa coming in second in that pool, with Ireland being at top. But that is still debatable.
All right,
So,
we'll touch on that. Goody, thanks for your insight there. Once again, we've got two different point of views. I mean, if we didn't have that, this wouldn't be exciting. So let's move over to Pool C. I mean, I think over here, once again, we're not quite in alignment. You have a very controversial pick here, if I'm not mistaking it.
Well, I guess it depends on where you're from, whether it's controversial.
I was going to say the same thing.
But I think Pool C is an incredibly difficult pool to pick, because it's not like looking at the other pools where there's one or two clear favorites. Here you've got teams that really can all beat each other. So I don't think you're going to see one team dominate in this pool, and I think it's really going to come down to the points difference. I mean, you've got Wales, Australia, Fiji, Georgia. Each of them could potentially beat one another.
Yeah.
And for me, Fiji's shown the most in the build-up. And then the only reason I back Wales over Australia is because Gatland's back and there is some familiarity with his coaching environment.
Okay. No, that's fair enough, I guess. Yeah, that's reasonable. I mean, I would really like to see Fiji top that pool. I mean, if they do so, that would be history right there.
But that's a great shout, Gabs. If you think about Fiji, I mean, they've been playing. Fiji, Drew has been playing now in the Super Rugby. They've looked good. Majority of that squad is the Fijian Drua that played in that competition, and then they've got their France-based players also coming in.
And so I mean, let's not forget let's not forget what they did this weekend. You know, they beat England.
Yeah, against. I mean, let's be honest, a terrible English side.
Yeah, I mean, England needs to find some form. I mean, surely.
Also, though, you've got the potential of Fiji saying, you know, if we perform well in this World Cup, they're going to stand up, take notice for us, and we could take one of those positions in the Southern Hemisphere pool for the World Tournament that's going to start in 2 years' time.
Yeah.
This is how they make a case for that.
No, definitely.
You're dropping knowledge that the Rugby Hub pundits, the amateur pundits, are not quite sure about yet. But we're going to back you guys since we're such big fans. But that's definitely a great pool, that Pool C.
That Pool C is going to be exciting. It's not quite the pool of death of Pool B. But what we have here is we're actually going with our man, Eddie Jones. At some point, he needs to start winning. I don't think it's been quite the easiest of times for him, especially in the media.
They've been holding back, apparently.
They've been holding back, and they've brought the man Steve himself to assist. So we actually went with Australia to top that pool. That means they need to beat, obviously, the likes of Fiji and Wales. And then we went with Fiji to be second in that pool to actually beat, obviously, Wales. So that is what we have in there. We'll talk about what happens after that in a second. Let's quickly move over to Pool D. I mean, we both have the same pick here. If I'm not mistaken, we both said Argentina will top that pool. I mean, let's be honest, England is quite off it at the moment, and I don't know if Owen Farrell could save them even. But, you know, I think, it's safe to say that England is not where they want to be before this World Cup. So we've got Argentina, England. I mean, let's see. But that takes us to the next round, guys. Let's do this together. We're actually doing this live. I mean, we will
quickly
share this with you on
there,
the screen.
Gabsy,
Yes.
just Nick gave us a very interesting stat there for Pool D, or was it?
Oh, yes.
Pool
Yes,
C?
You mentioned something before. What
Pool
happened?
D.
What?
No one has ever won the World Cup out of Pool D, ever. And Pool C has 33% of the winners.
Okay. I mean, this is an interesting
God damn,
one.
Nick, we should have you on more often. I mean, geez, Stacey was horrible at Fox Sports. She never gave us these kind of
She didn't give
stats.
us any statistic like this. I mean,
No.
that is really interesting. I mean, however, looking at this Pool D, I think that statistics should remain the same this year.
It looks accurate.
It looks accurate. Let's quickly jump into the quarterfinals. So what we've decided together here is basically, that, if we look at Pool A, you said New Zealand would top that pool. We said France. We decided to give you the benefit of the doubt here. You are the Rugby
Obviously,
Punt
with
It.
Dante being out, great Punt It, yes.
So, I mean, I do think that you probably have a more accurate call there. We sacrifice. But in Pool B, we decided we're going to go with our expertise here at the Rugby Hub, and we're going to back Ireland to cause some sort of an upset. Doesn't mean it's over for the Bokke. It just means we finish Pool B in second place, but there's still a lot to happen after that. Which gives us then in Pool C also, once again, us favoring your pick. We actually did a bit of, thinking about it. You said Fiji, and then we thought about it. Well, they have been in excellent form. There's a lot to play for them as well, as you've just mentioned.
Yeah.
But we do think Australia will sneak into second place there, just because Eddie Jones is also
as well.
Okay, lovely. So we don't have to debate about that. And then nothing to talk about Pool D except for the fact that they've never won a World Cup. So we'll go straight into the quarters here, which gives us the first quarterfinal, Fiji, England, a repeat of what's happened last weekend. Open for discussion. Let's try and
Nick,
keep it simple and short. But
go ahead, Nick.
I mean, everything tells you that England should win that fixture, unless you've watched England play in 2023. Because they've really not shown us anything of substance, and Fiji have beaten them. So Fiji will take a lot of confidence into that test, but it really is a toss-up who could take it.
Yeah. I think that's where leadership comes through, right? Which squad has better leadership? Now, I do think that the English squad has got great leaders, but they've kind of been forced to Borthwick's sort of game plan, which, in my opinion, he is a little bit out of his depth. He doesn't give the players the freedom to actually play their best game. So, I also think that Fiji could take a lot of confidence through there. However, I do think that England, with their sort of rugby history, they could pull this one through. I don't know how you guys think.
When you say they have leaders, are you talking about their captains or their tackling ability?
Well, they are the top 3 leaders of the Tackle School Academy.
Exactly.
So but no, with regards
on a more serious note, guys, I have to intervene here. I think it will take a lot for Fiji to top the pool already. They are a team that sometimes falls short in terms of discipline, and that's probably why they're not just yet a tier 1 team, if you want to call that. And I think for them to get top of the pool and get to the quarters would already be, amazing. And, they can be really proud of themselves. But I do think that should they play England in a quarterfinal, it's probably going to be the end of the road for them. I hope we can mutually agree on that I think here, like you mentioned, Koran, the experience of England and probably the demand of consistency from Fiji would just not be enough for me personally. And I would say England would probably go through here.
Yeah, I'll concede to you on that. And also the fact that England's in a quarterfinal must mean they got their act together through the pool stages.
Exactly. No, perfect. Then let's go on to the second quarterfinal. Another massive game. Also a huge Six Nations matchup, which will be Ireland playing France. Boys, what will happen here?
Shall I go first? Fine.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like Ireland can beat France. They can beat France when the game is played in Ireland. But if the game is played in France, I think the occasion might be too big. And obviously, history tells us that Ireland can't get past the quarterfinals. However, they're a much different team. They've got a great record and a great sort of depth in their squad, good coaching group. So this is a really tough one to call. You could argue this one for a final as well.
Excuse me? Please don't say that loud again.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know. But I would, unfortunately for Ireland, I do think they're a great team. But if the occasion doesn't get ahead of France, they should bank this one.
Yeah,
Nick?
for me, I'm going with you as well. I say France are going to take it for two reasons. Ireland have never made it out of a quarterfinal, which is history weighing on them in a record they'll want to break. But also, Ireland are currently on 13 wins. If they win all their pool games, as you predicted, they'll be on 17, which is the record of a win streak, which no one has ever passed. The All Blacks have held it. The Springboks have held it. Ireland are not breaking two records in that quarterfinal.
No.
Okay, the boys are making very, very bold calls here. I almost feel like I have no say here. I'm just going to agree with you guys. I do think that, the occasion might be too big. And also, I think the home advantage might just favor France here to proceed. So then quarterfinal 3, huge game. We've got Argentina playing the Wallabies, Chica up against Jones. Boys, will it be a repeat of what happened earlier this year, or what? How do you see this one play out?
Go ahead, Nick.
I also think this one is another toss-up because Argentina have proven they're a side that can win away from home. They did it quite well last year. But assuming the Wallabies get this far, you've also got to assume that they've got their act together. And, that game really could go anywhere. I'm going to follow your guys' lead on that one. I really don't know who to pick out of that quarterfinal.
Okay, well, good. And then I'll intervene here. You took the lead on the France one. And I'm going to go with Argentina just because I feel like they're really playing phenomenal rugby. They have a bunch of players playing rugby in Europe. And I do think, the way that they've obviously beat a different Eddie Jones side earlier this year, but I honestly don't feel like Eddie Jones has made that much progress. Sorry, he just got hammered by France this weekend. And I think that Argentina right now has more momentum. Should they beat England, what we predict, they'll have their tails up, they'll have all the confidence, and I think they should beat Australia in that game. If you differ,
No. Let's not forget in 2007 when the Rugby World Cup was also held in France, Argentina beat the host France in that opening game and beat France again in that third place playoff.
Exactly.
Ending third in that competition. So not that that matters that much around this time, but I do think with Michael Cheika there, they've been building very nicely and they've shown that they can do it. So
and it seems like France is a happy hunting ground for the Los Pumas. So we're going with Argentina to proceed, which means we get to the last and the probably most brutal quarterfinal, which is obviously the All Blacks and South Africa. Massive game. I don't think we're really going to talk about this one because all of us being obviously a bit biased here. I don't know
what
if one of you guys.
About?
I don't know if one of you guys are going to call out the All Blacks to knock us out of the World Cup. I think if this really happens, it's going to be probably, the most challenging game ever because we know the All Blacks are brutal in World Cups. And what's happened this weekend is in the past, they're going to come back.
Make them angry. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, guys, do one of you have the guts to say All Blacks here, or we just all agree? Let's go with the book.
Let's go with the Booker.
Let's go with the Booker. Let's just get.
Let me not think about it too much.
So, I can't even say anything else. It just wouldn't work. Sorry to those Kiwi visitors and viewers, but obviously you guys can calculate for yourselves if it was otherwise. Next, the first semi-final, huge match then, obviously England, France. Boys, Nick, maybe you want to take this one off. What do you reckon would happen there? England making it all the way to the semi-finals, playing the host France?
I don't think England have the capacity to beat France. To beat France, you have to be able to subdue their pack, one, and you have to be able to pay attention to what DuPont is doing. And we've seen the English camp speak out this week about the way their players celebrate after winning a ruck penalty, after a skew throw at the line-out. They're just not the team that's got the discipline to put France away.
That's a good shot. I think I don't even know if we have to argue too much about this. I think for England to get this far in the competition will be great. I can't see them going past France, the hosts, in this game. They don't have the pack. They're not quite settled yet. I would have said Borthwick should have been planning for the next World Cup rather than this one. So they don't have the buy-in from the players. France. Pinot hat-trick.
All right.
Oh,
well, you guys made it clear there. No reason for me to intervene here. I'm not going to waste any time on something that doesn't make sense. Then, obviously, we've got another huge matchup with the likes of South Africa playing the Los Pumas. Once again, do we really have to debate this one?
The Pumas could do it. They could get a win, but I don't, they might match us in the first half, but when that bomb squad comes on, the Pumas don't have the strength and depth to match the bomb squad player for player. And I think that will be the deciding factor in a game like that. It's going to be a war of attrition.
I have to agree. They're going to put up a hell of a fight, the Pumas. They're a very proud nation. We obviously respect them very much. They can really bring that intensity and that passion into especially a cup final. But I don't see them getting past South Africa, boys. I have to be honest.
Yeah. No, definitely after the performance we've seen this weekend. Obviously, we can't just keep referring to this performance, but also even the week before against Wales.
Third place playoff.
Third place playoff is the next thing. I'm also going to go with the Bokke, of course. And I'm just going to get straight, before we go to the final, to the third place playoffs. I do think, let's go with the Los Pumas back-to-back, smashing Steve Borthwick's England and getting himself another medal around the neck. I mean, that's the least they deserve.
And let's be honest, that's going to make everyone's World Cup weekend better, because that's the Friday night and you got the final to look forward to on the Saturday.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I have to agree with that one. Yeah, of course.
All right. Then the grand finale, we've got South Africa playing France. Guys, if this actually happens, I mean, if this actually would happen, do you have any idea how big of a game this will be for South Africa? They'll play France in a World Cup final. That's not going to be a simple task.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start on something like that, because, again, France's ruck speed, their attack, they're the only team that has a pack that can literally match up to us. Huge loss of Cyril Bay. If he's back by this time, I honestly, for me, it's going to depend on whether Mani manages to maintain his kicking now or not, because otherwise, with Jalibert, Jaminet, they're going to floor us for penalties
Ramos,
in a game.
No, I have to agree with you there, man. I think that game is going to come down to tight margins, and we're going to need solid goal kicking in a final.
100%.
We're going to have to take all points on offer, and it's going to come down to those fine margins. And look, I'd love to say South Africa. I think it's an absolute, if they win it, they deserve this World Cup because they've gone through hell. But it's going to be a great ask. So I don't know. I'm too scared to call that one, to be honest.
I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I already selected South Africa here on the picture in front of me.
We're going to leave this one then to the fans, guys. Let us know in the comments below
who's going to win the World Cup.
Who's going to win the World Cup? We'd love to hear from you, Punt It fans. Please let us know. Go check out Nick and Ronnie from the Punt It. They've got some great episodes and articles coming out to keep you guys tuned throughout the World Cup. And then also with Rugby Hub, you can check me and Gabsy out. We'll be at the World Cup, coming to you guys with some great content. Nick, anything else from you?
Yeah, lekker, guys. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a joy, and I'm looking forward to collaborating more with you guys in the future, man. And I'm very jealous of you guys attending the World Cup.
Yes. Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you so much for joining tonight. Really, thank you. Appreciate it so much, guys. Please don't forget to comment below what you guys think will happen, and check out the Superbru pool, check out Rugby Punt It, and thank you so much for tuning in. Have a lovely evening. Thank you.